Today is day 203 of the year of streaming and learning to code. We are continuing on here at freeCodeCamp, still inching our way ever closer to the end of the basic JavaScript section. We are currently standing at 190 items done throughout all of freeCodeCamp from the beginning. And where is the end? Right there. So invert regular expressions. Is that what that is? Hold on. Invert regular expression matches with JavaScript. How cool is that? They're actually going to go into regular expressions here. That is awesome, because regular expressions were on my to-do list of things to learn that would have been extremely beneficial at freeCodeCamp, and it was just beyond the sort of fundamental scope that Code Academy focused on. So they never really went over, at least not to my knowledge, of regular expressions. I feel like that's something that would have stood out after 150 plus days at Code Academy. But that's cool to see that they do appear to cover regular expressions here at freeCodeCamp towards the end of their basic JavaScript course. I'm sure there's plenty of other fun, cool, advanced tips and tricks that we can find from other resources online regarding how to best utilize regular expressions, but regular expressions did seem to be a common tool found amongst a lot of the solutions at Code Wars. So definitely looking forward to that. Another thing we'd mentioned before, we'd gotten the that Udemy course, like the 85 weird things about JavaScript and your neighbor, or whatever the course was called. So we need to watch all 85 of those videos. And I was kind of hoping to get through a similar type of tutorial. I don't know. What's the best way to categorize these types of sites, like Code Academy and freeCodeCamp? I guess tutorial, educational sites, but to go through and get their 2 cents on at least the fundamentals, the basics of JavaScript. I wanted to experience that initial learning curve from at least more than one site. So 2 satisfies that. And even Code Wars, even though they aren't exactly like teaching the language, they're challenging, since they've got the variety of levels, the various levels, and we start at the very bottom. That's kind of a good way to keep an eye out on what's essential and needed. But anywho, so we've been going through a lot of the basics. That's the point, and I wanted to go through a couple sites, get a better understanding of the language before watching all of the, hey, look at all these weird tips and tricks about JavaScript. I felt like it would be a bit more meaningful going through all of this nonsense more than once from a couple different perspectives. Anywho, enough backstory, foreshadowing, whatever we want to call it. Let's dive into, not counting cards, but return early patterns for functions. And we can start to break new ground here at freeCodeCamp on day 203. From the top, return early pattern for functions. When a return statement is reached, the execution of the current function stops and control returns to the calling locations. What? I think I just did an extremely poor narration of this particular sentence. Our reading skills are lackluster in general, but when a return statement is reached, the execution of the current function stops and the control returns to the calling location. Okay, that makes more sense. Example, function myFun console.log hello return world console.log bye myFun. The above outputs hello to the console returns the world but bye-bye is never output because the function exits at the return statement. Aha, yes, good. Here's our function. The fun begins, it returns, so forth, but the party ends with return. Console log bye-bye is left all by its lonesome, never to be engaged with. So, not very fun for bye-bye. With that said, instructions modify the function AB test so that if A or B are less than 0, the function will immediately exit with a value of undefined. Interesting. So, what's going down? If both are 0, immediately exit. Hint, remember that undefined is a keyword, not a string. Let's click on it, and we're going to close out of this tab afterwards, because yesterday we got confused and started solving this activity in the new tab, which was one we had already solved before. Understanding uninitialized variables. Fascinating. When JavaScript variables are declared, they have an initial value of undefined. If you do a mathematical operation on an undefined variable, your result will be none, which means not a number. If you concatenate a string with an undefined variable, you will get a literal string of undefined. So we're just dealing with an undefined variable. Okay. And they want undefined with no quotes? I think that's what they want. Okay, so we're closing out of this. We are testing something or other. Return blah, 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 blah. Modify the function AB test so that if A or B are less than 0, the function will immediately exit with the value of undefined. In my mind, the way I see it, it's going to be kind of messy. I'm just going to type it out and then we'll polish it up. But it's something that looks like if something about A or and B, we'll throw in the 0 bits later. And then like return, I want to say, see, in the undefined thing, it said that it was an undefined variable, so I feel like it's... I want to use one of the parameters as the variable. I feel like we can just do any variable. It feels wrong and messy. I want to just have any variable here. Maybe we're supposed to put the word undefined, but I'm just missing, or I'm totally misinterpreting it, but I think it's closer to something like that, and variable equals, and we don't actually define it. We just leave them confused. But see, there's the error stuff, like it feels wrong just setting it up this way. I don't like any of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's do this guy. We'll see. Let's polish this up. If A is... So that if A or B are less than 0, if they're less than 0, if A is less than 0, or if B is less than 0, return an undefined variable. I just think that's so weird. Unexpected token. Maybe they literally wanted undefined. And we can get rid of this. We'll try that. That is what they wanted. They literally wanted undefined put in there. Return undefined. Okay. Cool. You're unstoppable and exceptionally confused. We are both of those things. Who would have known? Counting cards. Here we go. Don't mind me. Face blowing. I don't know what it is lately, but our allergies or something has been acting up. I feel like we've been needlessly leaky the last couple of streams. Why is there so much cat fur on the desk? There's like a rough spot of just kitty fur. That is not cool. Tiny cat, you're making the desk furry. She's sleeping on the floor behind us. Okay, counting cards. So, off to a mediocre start, which is a step up for us. Usually we're down a couple notches. Usually we begin on a fizzle and end on a fizzle. So mediocre is good. We like that. Improvement. In the casino game Blackjack, a player can gain an advantage over the house by keeping track of the relative number of high and low cards remaining in the deck. This is called card counting. Alright, so Wikipedia. Card counting is a casino card game strategy used primarily in blackjack, family, or casino games to determine whether the next hand is likely to give a probable advantage to the player or the dealer. Card counters are... Also, we do know what card counting is, but might as well go over via the official Wikipedia page when we've been given the opportunity, right? Because when else is one gonna Wikipedia card counting? Card counters... Hello. Are a class of advantage players who attempt to decrease the inherent casino house edge by keeping a running tally of all high and low valued cards seen by the player. Card counting allows the player to bet more with less risk when the count gives an advantage, as well as minimize losses during an unfavorable count. Card counting also provides the ability to alter playing decisions based on the composition of remaining cards. Card counting, also referred to as card reading, often refers to obtaining a sufficient count on the number, distribution of high card location of cards in trick-tacking games. What? Trick-tacking games? That's further down the rabbit hole than we're going to go, such as contract bridge. In my mind, kind of scanning the words ahead before I said contract, I thought it said contact bridge, and I didn't think there were any physical card-based games, like similar to touch or tag football, American version. Yeah, but involving cards. Are there any card-based games that require full contact? I don't think there are. Unless people get super pissed when they're playing poker and they're probably drunk and they throw a punch. I think that would be the only physical altercation in a card-based game. Yeah. I don't think there's any full contact card-based sports, if that's a thing. Anywho, contract bridge or contact bridge, whatever you prefer, or spades to optimize the winning of tricks. Cool. So, that's a nice little Wikipedia tangent. Having more high cards remaining in the deck favors the player. Each card is assigned a value according to the table below. When the count is positive, the player should bet high. When the count is 0 or negative, the player should bet low. Count change in cards. +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Zeros for 7, 8, 9. And -1 for 10, Jack, Queen, King, or Ace. You'll write a card function. It will receive a card parameter and increment or decrement the global count variable according to the card's value. See the table. The function will then return the string with the current count and the string bet if the count is positive or hold if the count is 0 or negative. The current count and the player's decision, bet or hold, should be separated by a single space. Example output, -3, hold, 5, bet. Hint, do not reset count to 0 when the value is 7, 8, or 9. Don't reset the count when the value is 7, 8, or 9. Okay. Don't mind me. Face issues again. Or nose. I can feel it. Maybe? Oh, dear Lord. Why? Don't mind me. Save yourselves, children. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, God. So much ooze. Okay, crisis averted. Kind of. Not averted at all. Oh, God. Blech. Disgusting. I'm a monster. Okay. Blech. What are we doing? Something about counting cards. We did not sign up for card math. They were supposed to tell us just click here and do something and learn about JavaScript. We got all excited about regular functions early on, or regular expressions early on, and why do I have the feeling that's going to come later tomorrow? This half of my face is leaking. I apologize. This is just how we're going to have to operate and do business. It's bad. It's like a leaky roof. Bad Steven. Okay, what are we looking for? You will write a card counting function. Bastards. It's something regarding this. We've been able to copy their tables before. We're just gonna jump into it. Hopefully that feels right to somebody. +1. Those bastards. You will write a card counting function. It will receive a card parameter. Yes. We receive card. Increment or decrement the global count. Variable count. Is that what we call it? Do we call it variable count? Or, yeah, count. Count is a variable. I was thinking, we've got CC, card, and count. Oh, global variable count. Don't have to worry about that. But we can reference count to some degree. What are we doing? Let's make our way through this. All we have to do is survive. Just stay afloat, Steven. Stay afloat. Card parameter. Increment, decrement the global count variable according to the card's value. See the table. It goes up. Okay. So, count equals count +1 if it's a 2, 3, if card is blah, blah, blah. That makes sense. Okay, hold on. Oh. Should we do a switch statement? No. Don't do a switch statement. we could. Do I want to do a switch statement? Yeah. We can switch? I think it would be easier with an if. We're just going to stick with a traditional if statement. I realize we could go the switchy route, but we're not going to. So, copy. If card equals 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Will the commas work? Will the commas suffice? I don't need to make like an array value, do I? I don't think so. If this curly stuff, yeah, else if followed by, no, parentheses, which will look like this, else, ooh, toughy. Maybe we do need a switch statement because then we can give it an actual value. Not a value, like a condition. You know, like the else if blah. Let's try a switch statement on for size. So, in a perfect world with a switch statement, we'd have switch, which would not be that far over for starters. Switch. God, and we can't remember how we set up a switch statement yesterday. Card. That's the input. It has a giant opening and closing curly thing. Everything goes inside of it. We have 3 different cases. And 3 different things happen. Okay, 3 different things happen. We have a count equals count plus 1 copy. It doesn't need to be in quotes. It will get a semicolon. It we'll call it plus 0, right? No. Yeah. Fuck. I don't know how to account for that one. Because we don't want to make it 0. That's not right. I think it's count plus 0 is basically what we're looking for. And then down here would be count minus 1. These get semicolons, and then there's the break statement afterwards. Break, followed by breaking stuff. Yes, yes, good, good. Typical. Something about something. Case what? Case. How would we do that? Can we do commas for a case? I don't think we can. That looks super weird to me. That does not look safe or recommended or just... Oh, I know. No. We went over this yesterday. Like, cases 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9. If all of these trigger the same event, then you just stack them. That's what happens. So, case, colon, v space, Meh. Yeah, kind of ugly, but we're getting there. We're getting there. D D D do 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 D D D D D D D D D da 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 D D D D D D D D D do 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 D D D D. How do we? Is it Control and Delete? No, is it Command and Delete? Oh god. Shift. Bastards. Option. Fuckers. It's gotta be Function. Yeah, there we go. Function. Well, it's a Mac keyboard. They only have the stupid delete, which is the backspace button, and delete on every other computer on the planet. Cuts away going forward. You know what I mean. You know how a keyboard works. So, yes. Apple nightmare issue, keyboard issue, fiasco stuff. Function delete is the key command we are looking for. So let's do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, back, 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 back. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. So, same song and dance, rinse and repeat. Let's do we still have case attached? We do in fact have case still attached. Colon, paste, colon, paste. A lot of setup for this one specific activity, but counting card stuff. Kind of cool. Ooh, bad, Steven. What are we going to need? We are going to need all of this. Somehow. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's just copy it all. Oh, you slimy bat. I did copying issues. I did Command C instead of Command V, and I just got case all over again. Let's go with this. Copy. V and V and V and V. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Beautiful. Colons for everybody. You get a colon, and you get a colon. Oh god, we're highlighting. Everybody gets a colon. So, is that all we needed and wanted? I think so. Let's get rid of this nightmare. Nobody wants to look at that. No, no, no. Just the spaces. Just the spaces. Bad Steven. Yeah. Death. There we go. We're good. We're happy. Everyone's dealt with. I think that's all we needed. I think. I honestly don't know what else to check for, so everything seems to be fine. Because we did all the switch statement stuff yesterday, so I think that's the path that it was leading to. Let's run it. They're super pissed and don't like anything about what we just recommended. Change me. Return change me. Death. Should that be the default? Is that what they're trying to tell us? Maybe that should be the default statement. Let's try that on for size. I think we had that issue yesterday. I do in fact believe that's what was happening yesterday. So this would be default. Like so? Yeah. followed by return change me with the curly stuff, and that's that. So once more, now I think everything's kosher. No, we've confused them. I've confused myself. Everyone's pissed. This is bad. So, in a perfect world, something about something should have happened. Would it be count plus equals 1? Can we do that? Plus equals? That doesn't feel right either. Run test. Damn. We're gonna copy all of this. So, copy. Yeah, Z, let's go ahead, set that in like a post-it note for now. Note stuff. There we go. Good. So in case we mistag that, let's go back to our nearest switch issue. Replacing else if chains with switch. Break. They had answer equals something. We want count. See, they've got answer. So they've got count equals 0. Wouldn't it just be minus equals? Oh, return answer. No, they had return change me, and that was after the break thing. What about return Boolean values? That was truly the last one we did last night. No, that was return A minus B. That didn't help anybody either. What about multiple identical operations? See, here's answer. So they've got just their switch statement. You know what? Where we were opening, we were missing the opening curly thing? Perhaps not. No, we weren't missing the opening curly thing. We still have it copied. Let's take a look at it. Let's all revel in my foolishness together. So what are we missing? In a perfect world, switch value, which in the other one is card, and in the other one, variable answer, would be count. So we've got switch. Maybe the space needs to happen. Space can't hurt. I don't think it's going to change anything. We've got this. They've got their return stuff. Return answer after the curliness. So I think we can go ahead and change that again. We'll change it on the official one, but this is just more for visualization. Although, that means we don't need the default. That's actually not where we want the break. In fact, we don't even want the default. We just want to place that there. Yeah. So, you know, when this goes down below on another line, just like how they have it. Yeah, woo, yay, something's happening, just like this. Great. So, break, answer, semicolon, 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 count. Count should be blue. In the other one, let's do... Did that autosave? I hope it didn't. We'll clear out what we added anyways. We'll clear out this. We will make the change in our new one. Counting cards. Fingers crossed. Oh, it saved all of our stuff for us. So they were saying, oh, only change code above this line. Those bastards. This is why we did it. Reset your code. Ta-da. Now that's weird. They have change code above this line, but they still have the return change me above the line. So I feel like it should get incorporated into the code. I can't, they're sending in mixed signals. I don't know what to do. Get rid of that. We'll get rid of this. We will have a basic closing curly brace. Why isn't count blue? Card is blue, but count should be blue. See? Variable count. Count equals 0. Maybe something... Oh, you know what? Hold on. My bad. My bad. There's still all this other stuff that I was missing. My fault. I got so focused on the switch statement, which now I'm concerned I might not even need the switch statement, but let's see what's actually happening here. You'll write a card counting function. It will receive a card parameter and increment or decrement the global count variable according to the card's value. See the table. The function will then return a string with the current count, okay, the current count, and the string bet if the count is positive. So if count is greater than 1, so if count is greater than 1, it will equal bet. God, I hope I read that right. Or hold if the count is 0 or negative. The current count and the player's decision bet or hold should be separated by a single space. So, count. See, why isn't count blue? Answer was blue. Those bastards. It auto-saves. So let's go back. Multiple identical options. They have their variable inside the function. So do I set up a non-global count? Is that a thing? Can we do that? I also figured with the fact that it was global that it would have applied to the function. So answer equals low. So it could be count blah 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 equals whatever. Typical. Death. Let's piece this nightmare together. So let's go ahead and set up count. The other thing, if it's 0 or -1 for those cards, is it the total or is it the current card? I figured counting cards was a cumulative experience, you know, or process. You know, you'd get your 2 and a jack, or 9 and a 6. Like, I feel like you'd get your cards, and as you see the cards on the table, you'd be constantly keeping tally of where you stand if you're still in the positive versus the negative. Maybe it's a per hand thing. I mean, I know you have to start at the beginning, which you'd have to be starting with 0, so it's just that kind of affects the math on how this pans out. Whatever, let's do variable count within the function. Variable count, fingers crossed that's what we need. Maybe we don't know. Maybe it's an unknown thing. Maybe it's just a quote. Maybe it's floating there in the wind like little kitty. Look at you, tiny cat, covered in fur and confusion. Yeah, getting loved on. Good, good, good. Okay. Let's see. We need to figure out this nightmare. If we can't piece it together from here, then we can look at the hint, because we've been struggling on this for a while now. Not gonna lie. Not going to lie. And I feel like it's so straightforward. Maybe it should have been in if, else, if. Bastards. If card equals 2 through 6. If the card is 2 through 6 and the count is positive, I think I'm just making it worse. I feel like I've made this way harder than it needs to be. Don't invite this guy to your party. That's what this whole lesson has taught us. Yeah. Bad times. So let's go ahead and get a hint, because this is just awful. We've made like 0 progress. Okay, free code camp guide challenge, sure. Problem explanation, casino, blah, 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 card values. Yeah, great, we all see that. That's tons of fun. So when do we actually get to the part? Here we go. Write a card counting function that receives a card parameter, increments, decrements the global count variable according to the card's value. See the table. The function will then return a string with the current count in the bet string if the count is positive, or hold if the count is negative. We can at least piece together that nightmare. So in a perfect world, if count is equivalent to 0, or even, yeah, if count equals 0, I don't really care. We'll do equivalent. I don't mind. Equivalent to 0, it will equal hold, and the count, the current count, and the player's decision better hold should be separated by a single space. Count plus, so I guess that's a concatenation. Is that what they want? See, it's weird because they've got it in quotes here like it's a thing. But if they want count and hold, example. Yeah, count in quotes. Count it should be like that. I feel like there needs to be concatenation that occurs. Assignment. The count is equivalent to 0. Yeah, it is bad. Missing a semicolon. This is awful. Bad, Steven. Bad, Steven. All they're doing is count plus plus. Are you kidding me? And then count minus minus. And they're using an if-else statement? Oh, okay. I get it. I was overthinking the switch statement. However, I was underthinking, if that's a thing, which I'm pretty sure I've proved it is possible to underthink over these last 203 days. Haven't thought through the if-else statement. We started with the if-else, but it does a separate portion. It's doing the bet and hold. Versus the switch statement is merely processing the case of the card. Fascinating. Well, it's been 45 minutes on just this one particular thing, so we got close-ish. We started with if, we ended with switch. It needed to be both. So let's go ahead and fix this guy. We're just going to take from here. After 45 minutes of suffering, and I feel like we were close enough, let's go ahead and shimmy that right in under the break. Ta-da! Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So, in a perfect world where one isn't perpetually confused, one would have count plus plus for cases and cards 2 through 6, count increments by 1. We don't need this internal variable. We've got break, 10 through ace. Count is decremented. Is that a thing? Or you decrement count by 1? One of those. Count goes down by 1 per bad situation. That has its own break. If count is greater than 0, return the count and bet with a space. Look at that, bet with a space. Because this is what they wanted, but that's what they were showing. This was that sort of unclear uncertainty that we were dealing with, which is how we ended up with that awful concatenation thing. Anyways, else, return count and a hold. Ta-da! Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Otherwise, something about change me. I'm assuming that's the input was entered incorrectly. Run test. Nothing but net. Huge hat tip to their hint that they offered Donka freeCodeCamp. Good times. All right. We used most of our energy, endurance, interest in the stream on that stupid card counting thing, which we totally blew out of proportion. Can we... We're going to push on. We're going to do a few more, but holy hell. Damn. Now would also be a good time to stop, too. Bastards. Because it's build JavaScript objects. And then they've got all of these object ones to deal with. Accessing object properties and variables and updating objects and JavaScript objects. So it's a whole new section of objecty goodness, you know? Like, this counting cards is a really clean... How do we know? We should have taken a further look last night and pushed through the switchiness. But we were falling apart last night. We were totally misreading things, and it was just bad times. Let's, you know what? We had mentioned it before. Usually we start with a fizzle and end with a fizzle. We started off pretty good, but then that was brutal. That was 45 minutes of suffering. 50 minutes. Well, it's been 50 minutes. We'll call it 45 minutes of suffering. So we definitely ended on a fizzle. We're gonna call it a night. We will have a clean start tomorrow with build JavaScript objects, and the party will continue from there. Let's go ahead and back out. Still barely made the smallest amount of progress. 2 sections, but yeah, that was... The cards got the best of us. That was not pretty. Not pretty at all. Anyways, thank you again to anyone and everyone who may have stopped by to view the stream. Even if it was accidentally stumbling in here, any and all views are greatly, greatly appreciated. In the meantime, we are backing out of freeCodeCamp into OBS. The adventure continues tomorrow with day 204. JavaScript objects and other fun stuff. We are going to be stopping the stream. Are you sure you want to stop the stream? Hell yeah. Kill it.